Hello and welcome to Backward Point with Ameya. Today we have a very special guest with us, all the way from Australia, Sydney, Gaurav Joshi, a freelance sports journalist. Thank you, sir, for joining me today, for taking out time for having a chat with me.
No problem, Samay. Nice to be on your show. You don't have to refer to me as sir. Yeah, you can just call me Gaurav. That's perfectly fine. We all are observers, and we watch cricket closely. So we're on the same level. No need to refer me or put me on a pedestal. We're just talking about the game we love.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, I'm going to start by asking you a question. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on this performance from England? It wasn't like just 1 or 2 hours of brilliance from them. It was a complete dominance from day one.
You've explained it perfectly. They did everything right. I mean, winning the toss is you do need that bit of luck. They won the toss. You need to score big in India. Every coach and team that goes to India has a magic formula, and the magic formula is cross your fingers and win the toss. They do that. Post a big total. They do that. Captain leads from the front, yes, and then put the opposition under pressure, and you take wickets and you field brilliantly as well. You don't want to miss any chances. You just look at James Anderson's catch, Joe Root's catch in the first innings. Ben Stokes, even that catch of Bumrah, you never know. Tailenders can last for these days for a while, and then you come out. A lot of people driving, criticism about how slow England batted, but they had that formula. They trusted themselves, and then magic performance by James Anderson. So, which shows you just don't need good spinners who can bowl accurately. You also need to trust, your fast bowlers with reverse swing. They did that. So, like your question had basically answered all the questions. They ticked all the boxes one by one, and that's why they were successful.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you think that toss is playing a crucial role in subcontinent results?
Look, toss is an important thing, but Virat Kohli just said, and I've said this in the past, in India or in the subcontinent of all places, if the difference between the first innings is substantial, then it's very hard to catch up because batting
Yeah,
just gets drastically difficult. And if you look at the patterns of scores whenever teams go to subcontinent, and generally the Indian pitches, they tend to be the 450s, 400, and then there's a drop. So the toss, yes, it helps to win the toss, but if India should have scored 450, Virat Kohli just said that
yeah,
if they score 450, England might have to bat longer. They
mm,
put pressure. They can't just survive. They can't just hit out. So it makes it harder. So I don't think so. Look, this pitch was very flat for the first
yeah,
2 days, but India shouldn't have scored 340 odd. They should have scored 400, four
yeah,
twenty. The pitch was still good enough for them to
mm,
do that, and that's why. So I would look at it that toss is a huge factor. You look at the 2016 series, you look at the
mm,
Australia series in 2017. Teams have scored big, but teams have responded, and especially
mm,
India have responded because, in a way, they have an advantage because they're playing in home conditions. So I don't think so. Statistics might show that, but I don't think it affects a good team like India.
yeah, definitely. So, apart from the pitch, do you think India lacked anything in the first innings? Let's take pitch out of the equation.
Look, I mean, if anything, look, they definitely miss Jadeja. I think this is
Yeah,
the 33rd, after 33 matches,
yeah,
Ashwin Jadeja combination at home has
yeah,
been broken. So when you don't have, it's a bit like going to England and just having Broad and not Anderson.
mm,
It makes that slight bit of difference. And you saw Nadeem. Nadeem is people are asking why did Nadeem play, but Nadeem's
mm,
his record in first class cricket is
yeah,
superb. I mean, he just picks up 40, 50, 60 wickets
yeah,
on last 8, 10 years. But he wasn't himself. The rhythm wasn't there. Even he said, I'm bowling a lot of no balls because where I'm jumping from, that mark isn't right. So that to me indicates his rhythm's not there. So it's hard to get your rhythm, during a match. And because Nadeem was slightly off color in this test match, you suddenly have one guy who's not quite there and the pitch is not in your favor. It worked against you. So, if there was anything, it's just that, Nadeem wasn't as well. He's a good bowler, but just wasn't, I think, bowling to the standards expected of himself.
Yeah, definitely. So England did bat well. Credit to them as well for scoring over 500. But do you think Dom Sibley played too slowly?
No, I think that's his role. I mean, look, if you in the first 2 days or even 3 days, we saw if you try to over attack, you could get out. You could. The England's first principle on that day one was, let's be. I'm sure was ideally looking at the way the pitch was playing. Let's be 3 for 250. We don't care, and then we can score the runs in the sort of the second day. So I don't think so. That it's application and it's the first test match. Remember, it's so important because if you try play slightly aggressive and you lose your wicket, suddenly the confidence goes. I look back at the 2017 series and Steve Smith in a couple of my interactions said, it just gave me that confidence in the test match in Pune because I was dropped 3 times. So once the confidence comes up, then you can do it. So especially that first test match, and you saw Sibley, like he didn't start up well in Sri Lanka, but in that 4th innings in Sri Lanka, so the second test, second innings, he got a 50. So there was a bit of confidence, and he wanted to carry that on. He got a good, good pitch. He realized that. I don't think so. I think he played a proper test innings, and he didn't have to because Joe Root was picking up the pace on the other end. Sometimes if you have somebody else on the far side who also goes slowly, then there can be a problem because then England might be, 3 for 230 odd, which gives India still in the game. But because Root kept well, they added those extra 30, 40 runs, 3 for 270 odd was a superb performance on that day, on day one. So to answer your question, no, I think he batted exactly how England would have wanted him to bat.
Yeah. So what do you think about Joe Root's innings, the way he tackled the spin threat?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I was reading something on how he's worked so much on, the sweep shot. Everyone, you have to come to India, I think, to work out a way to score runs in India. All these 15 years ago, Damien Martin just watched clips of Tendulkar and he just wanted to play spin off the back foot. So he studied that. Matthew Hayden in 2001 just went on this reverse sweeping thing. Andy Flower did it when Zimbabwe came here. Steve Smith started to hit against the spin in the sense that, against Jadeja, who's prepared to hit towards the leg side. So these are small sort of tactics that somebody needs to employ. And Joe Root's tactics, and it just not for India, it goes back to what he did in Sri Lanka. When it works for you, you can pull it off. It's the confidence. And he did it well. And there's different types of sweeps that he's playing. That one where he actually hits the ball basically like a squat and goes to mid wicket. That's a different type of sweep. So not only he has the genuine sweep, he has like the squat sweep, the slog sweep. So all these runs. So I think you've got to give him credit for the way he's worked on it. And like I said, it's working for you in Sri Lanka. You're going to try it here again. But it was interesting for the first 40 overs of the first innings. I think Root only played one sweep shot. So he wanted to get in. He knew against the newer, harder ball, sweep shot could be dangerous. But once he got in, he started playing a lot more. So that's just game management. That's just why Joe Root is Joe Root.
Yeah, definitely, sir. After day 2, England had lost 8 wickets with only 2 wickets in
Hmm.
hand going into the day three. They opted for a heavy roller before the start
Hmm.
of day three. Do you think that made it difficult for Indians to bat on?
Um, maybe I don't think so. Not too much. Not as much as when they applied the heavy roll on day four,
Hmm.
because day
Hmm.
three the pitch was still very good.
Yeah.
Um, but it was, I mean, tactically they were very good at employing that. I
Hmm.
mean, who knows? But maybe that's why Archer's ball did take off to Rohit Sharma.
Hmm.
We don't know. You know, these are just sort of speculative things.
Yeah.
But it was smart tactics. I mean, um, but it does. I mean, heavy roller does make a difference. So these are small attention to detail. I think
Yeah.
England were prepared to do. You know, but who knows if that's the reason why? But yeah, it was. Let's just say, like tactically, it was a very smart ploy, as it was on day four
Hmm.
to apply the heavy roller,
The
and
roller.
that's why you saw, you know, Ashwin getting those sort of 3 quick
Hmm.
wickets, and even Rory Burns was a perfect example. The ball sort of kicked
Yeah.
immediately. Would have kicked if they applied the right roller. Who knows?
Hmm.
But that is that, you know, they say that especially on red soil it can break up. So tactically, well done, England.
Yeah. So, do you think on day three India missed the trick by playing some poor shots, or was it a brilliant bowling from England?
Um, they were just probably slightly cautious. I mean, just watching Virat Kohli bat in the second innings, you know, he speaks about intent. Now, intent's
Yeah.
not smashing the ball, but it's just the way he was going forward and
Hmm.
really, you know, like he really wanted to smother the ball. You can just see, like, no, like first innings, you know, and that comes because he hasn't played a lot of cricket, so
Yeah.
you can just tell with that defensive push, even the one we got out on.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Look, I mean, you got to consider a couple of unfortunate dismissals. I mean,
Yeah.
Pujara doesn't get out. Him and Pant were batting splendidly.
Hmm.
Rahane got out to a full toss. It was
Yeah.
a great catch. Um, and, you know, you should be smashing that full toss. But these things happen in cricket. So, yes and no. I mean, you can say Shubman Gill's ball probably held up slightly in the wicket,
Yeah.
or you can look at it the other way and say, well, he shouldn't be playing, you know, but trying to punch the ball down the ground. But Virat Kohli punched one down the ground to try to
Hmm.
punch and went because the ball slowed up. So it's very hard to, you know, narrow it
Hmm.
down. But I think, yes, there was slightly, I wouldn't say cautious, or, you know, you can just tell they're slightly rusty that they're playing in India now. Just
Hmm.
slightly. It's not to blame them, but you can tell that, you know, and it's hard. You've played
Yeah.
in Australia, you're on such a
Hmm.
high. You come back, Chennai, you only have 2-3 days to prepare. Suddenly you're in the field,
Hmm.
and then you bat. You're not batting on the best time to bat on that pitch.
Hmm.
So these small things matter in cricket, and I think, you know, people are kicking up a storm. It's a big loss, but
Yeah.
England played well. And look, I mean, it's in a way it's good. I think we're in for a good series.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you make of Pant's innings? Because everyone seemed to struggle to play big shots on that track, but he came and suddenly started to take on Jack Leach.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal what he can
Yeah.
do. You know, he's. It's just clarity. You know,
Yeah.
he's when you see the rough, and I think I put a tweet out there where Ben Stokes sort of said
Hmm.
on day two, he said, you know, as soon as the ball started jumping from the rough to
Hmm.
Nadeem, Ben Stokes said that, you know, if I try to smother it and if it jumps and if I get caught at short leg or slip or silly point, um, I'd rather be caught out on the boundary, which he was, right?
Hmm.
But that's his mindset. So the mindset was
Yeah.
good. And that's what Rishabh Pant said. Rishabh Pant did. He was
Yeah.
like, you know, my tactic, it's about covering the tactics. If somebody's going to bowl short to you, it's fine. You know, you might have 3 men on the hook shot, but if your tactic is to hook the ball and you're positive about it, you hook it.
Hmm.
As long as you don't try hit the ball, which is, you know, so far away from you. So it's a
Hmm.
well thought out innings by
Yeah.
Rishabh. You know, Leach tried to bowl slightly wider to him, so he
Hmm.
adjusted his guard and
Yeah.
shifted across the off stump. And later on, like if you look predominantly the second half of his innings, he started playing Leach off the back foot
Mm.
because he knew he'd shorten his length, he'd flatten out his trajectory. So there is plenty of, there's a method to his madness, as they say. So I think he handled it really well. He knows the boundaries are not like the MCG. If he
Yeah.
hits it, it's six.
Mm.
So to have that confidence that if I hit it, it'll go for six. But if I tried to change a different shot, I might get out. So again, there's so much clarity there, and that's good to see from Rishabh.
Yes, sir, definitely. So when India got bowled out for 337, England did not opt for a follow-on. They decided to bat
Mhm.
again, which was fair enough looking at the pitch. But did the England's approach after tea on day 4 perplex you? Because everyone was criticizing them for not declaring the innings.
Um, yeah, I mean, look, it's if the follow-on these days. It's just not about the pitch. I mean, that is a huge factor, but it's also about recovery because fast bowlers. I was surprised that Jasprit Bumrah actually did bowl,
Yeah.
a few overs because the recovery is so important,
Mm.
especially when there's a test match in another 3 days again.
Mm.
Um, so that is another factor. I was slightly surprised. I thought, but maybe they, I won't say there's a fear factor, but maybe they thought, if Leach doesn't, like we saw, Best didn't get it right today.
Yeah.
He just wasn't in the game for day
Mm.
5, and if Leach didn't get it right, there's that doubt that instead of 420, if they'd set 360 on.
Mm.
So suddenly India only need, maybe just over 300 today. So, and Joe Root, as we saw today, he kept attacking fields. That's what they wanted
Mm.
to do. So a lot of criticism. I was slightly surprised, but well done. I mean, they've proven everyone wrong, haven't they?
Yeah.
But it was, I thought they'll declare 10 overs earlier, but
Mm.
look, like I said, they have a script and they followed it right to the, perfectly to every page.
Yes. And Jack Leach was the pioneer of this victory in the final innings. But I think James Anderson was also brilliant because he broke the back of this Indian batting lineup with his reverse swing. What do you make of his spell?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you could argue he was, he was man of the match even sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, Joe Root did lay the foundations.
Mm.
But look, it was just terrific bowling, and full credit to Joe Root because he brought on James Anderson because I think Dom Bess was hit for a couple of boundaries,
Yeah.
and he was looking comfortable, so he went straight to Anderson, and bang bang. Also, that the fact, I think, I'm not sure what over number it was, but I think this is the perfect time the ball reverses. I think might have been the 18th, the 21st of around that time. Same
Yeah.
time, I think Ishan got it to go and Bumrah got it to go.
Yeah.
So clearly, this is the planning. This is sometimes this is also the benefit of batting first, where you can study when things actually happen on a pitch or with the ball. And they said, bang, this has to happen. So it's a terrific spell. Jimmy Anderson's the most skillful bowler of our generation, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this is just, you call it setup. When Dale Steyn or Bumrah does it, it's through pure pace. But this is just skill where, he just sets it up. The length is so perfect.
Yeah.
And he just got the ball to tail. He's just a magnificent performer. He's been doing it for years. It shouldn't surprise us.
Yeah, definitely. He's a magician with the ball. So Virat Kohli in the post-match interview said that our team lacked intent and negative body language in the first innings when the game started to go away from them. So do you think the empty stadiums with no crowd could be one of the factor for this?
Yeah, possibly. I still think the mental switch, mental in the mind wasn't sort of switched on. And I keep telling people, and I've said this on a couple of the podcasts I've been on, that this was a huge danger game. I genuinely thought England can win this test. I always felt, because the whole euphoria of Australia to be, was still in India. And let's compare it to yourself, for that matter. You've had a a 5, 6 exams, and you've got the 4 hardest ones at the start, and then you've got like a 4-day break, and then you've got the final exams. And the exams, your maths and the science and the physics and chemistry are the first ones, and you do so well in them. You know that you've passed, you've done well, and then you have 4 or 5 days where you just can't hit the books because you're mentally drained. You're also satisfied, and then you suddenly have to do that exam of whether that's geography or something like that. It's hard for you, to come back. So I put that same thing. So it's not surprising that India have lost. It's just it's a human nature. It's a team nature. You can't expect all teams to be up all the time, especially what this team achieved in Australia. So and you could sense it in the second innings when Rory Burns got caught, when I think Sibley got caught. You can sense the Virat Kohli came out, the chatter went up, the Indian start. Then suddenly that, where have you been, suddenly comes to it's there within you, but it's sometimes hard to drag it out. You can do it. It's like that same exam analogy, like if that final exam is on a Saturday morning, you suddenly be on that Friday morning. You're not going to sit there with your books open going, you have confidence within yourself, but it's that Friday night you say, oh, I better do it, or even Saturday morning you better do it. And then while that's going, you're like, oh my God, this is flowing so well. But when you do the exam, you're like, oh my God, I didn't do too well. Should have, but I could have done well. I had it in me. I didn't utilize it. So it's similar. I mean, I think we can look far too much into the sportsmen and go, oh, their lives are completely different. And, at the end of the day, they are humans. So the psychology almost works similarly.
Yeah, beautifully put, sir. That was a really good analogy from you. So, So final question for you. What's the way forward for India now? Should India make any changes to their playing 11 or stick with the same team?
Well, you think with if Akshay Patel is fit, you think he just comes straight in for someone like a Nadeem? But Akshay hasn't played first class cricket. I mean, so is he ready? I know that he was going to play. I know Kuldeep was going to play. So that would have been a different combination. Now injuries are part of the game. They'll have to look at the pitch. I'll be very surprised if Nadeem plays, because unless the pitch is quicker, it'll be hard for Nadeem to, he'll probably take some time to go away and work on those little, the technical flaws of the, like I mentioned about the jump and so forth. So I expect, someone like Akshay to come. 3-day break. I mean, do you risk Bumrah? Workload management is a big thing. Ishant's only played, he's bowled a lot of overs. He'd only played, Mushtaq Ali Trophy. Coming back from injury, India does have depth. And if they decide to see, the big problem is you can't play a lot of people like, why can't Sundar, Ashwin and Kuldeep cannot play together? They all spin the ball the same way. You can't play them together. It's just simple cricketing logic. So they can't play. So Akshar has to play. So where does that leave Kuldeep? I'm not sure. I mean, if he's, but can you drop Washington? If the pitch is similar to what we saw, you might have to drop Washington because you have to play Akshar at 7 and Ashwin at 8, and then play Kuldeep because you want to take 20 wickets. And say it's a similar pitch, it's a flat pitch, then you'll have Akshar and you'll have Kuldeep as well. So you expect India to bat better. So it's going to be very complicated on how they go about it.
Yeah, definitely. So before signing off, I want to tell all my Marathi audience to definitely subscribe Coffee Cricket and Barats Kahi.
Yes.
It's been a brilliant podcast and YouTube channel. I've been hearing it for a while now. The points which you and Amol sir make there are absolutely gold. So
thank you. And I've got my own page as well, so you can follow that. Gaurav Joshi on Facebook as well. But look, I'd like to thank you for having me on. It's nice that the sort of the next generation, if I can call it. You guys follow us, ask us questions,
Yeah.
and I would love to keep doing this with you. So
Yes, sure, sir.
happy
Sure,
to do
sure.
happy to do this after every test match, and it's good fun because I hope as part of sort of journalism, as part of the next thing, you understand what to look for in the game of cricket, and we can just give you small pointers, and then you're all on your own. But thanks. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and look forward to the next one.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you. It was my pleasure to having you on my channel here today. And thank you so much for enlightening us with your vast knowledge about this game. I've been following you for a while, and the tweets and the posts that you put in are really gold.
Thank you so much, Amay. And like I said, look forward to chatting with you
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
on more frequent basis.
Yes, sure, sir.